Help support AMTV by becoming a patron, an AMTV staff member, and following us over on Twitter.
Who goes? You decide! Getting!
Olivia Attwood's Bad Boyfriends, Frauds and Big Brother. Available now on ITVX.
Hi there guys, it's Adam Martyn here and welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking once again about ITV, but more specifically ITVX. Now there's been a lot of buzz in the news currently about this ITV Sky deal that is being talked about in the early stages. For anyone not up to speed, essentially ITV is in early talks with Sky to sell its television operations over to Sky for an estimated 1.6 billion. This doesn't include ITV Studios, the production company, but it does include all its television channels, ITV's 1, 2, 3, 4, and I believe also ITVX, which is something that ITV have really been pumping money, time and investment into. And something has recently been talked about or reported on that may potentially sweeten that deal for Sky in terms of audience reach. And that today comes from RXTV. As always, go and check them out. They do lots of great broadcasting articles. But it says ITVX reaches annual milestone early thanks to soaps and drama. ITVX has surpassed 3 billion streams for the year to date, just over 3 weeks earlier than in 2024. Online first soaps, drama and reality shows drove viewers to the service, which ITV says outperformed its main commercial rivals. Now, obviously, that is a very good achievement. It happened earlier than it did in 2024. You could argue 3 weeks. Is that really a big leap of time in the streaming world to be celebrating such an achievement? I don't know. I'll let you be the judge of that. But it does seem, if you're looking on like a graph, that trajectory, it's going up slightly more steeply as the years go on. Drama remains the biggest genre on ITVX with 859 million streams. That's up 16%. The genre surpassed last year's record total in just 10 months. ITV has delivered 5 of the top 10 dramas of the year across the market, thanks in part to the successful Drama Drop Sunday strategy, offering audiences a new drama box set every Sunday on the service. And I do really like that Drama Drop Sunday strategy. It kind of feels like the old days of telly, the golden days, where you might get like a new, not necessarily play for today, but you know, a new sort of drama on a Sundays or a new series. I think having it as a box set, whether you like it or loathe it, that is just the way these things are going now, dropping the whole series and staggering out a traditional broadcast. And it just goes to show that drama as a type of television is still very accessible and very loved by audiences. Get a well-written, well-acted, well-produced drama and audiences are going to flock to it. It's not just all about reality TV or the speed of like, you know, TikTok content necessarily. Drama still has a major part to play. But what about the soaps? How Corrie and Emmerdale boosted ITVX? The main reason why ITVX hit the 3 billion stream milestone 3 weeks earlier than last year is the decision to make episodes of Coronation Street and Emmerdale available in the morning. Users can watch from 7 AM over 12 hours before the soaps are shown on ITV1. We actually covered that when they announced it as well. And I remember at the time some people said this was quite controversial. I don't necessarily follow these soaps, but I know some of you guys do, and also that you may have been an avid viewer for decades, not just years. These programs have been running so long. And the fact that they drop at 7 AM, that might be convenient for some, you know, when they get up in the morning, they might be able to watch it over breakfast. But equally for others, you know, there's no such thing as a perfect time to transmit television. So I guess you have that freedom from the morning. I know some people complained about potential spoilers as well. Like it says, there is that 12-hour gap. You could just stay off social media. However, I know that's not always possible depending on like your line of work or other things like that. But largely, not that ITV are going to care, because this has been very positive for them. It's created this positive outlook, hitting that milestone quicker, largely thanks to the soaps. They achieved over 400 million streams so far this year. They saw the biggest year-on-year increase of all of the genres at plus 30%, and ITVX is expected to get a further boost early in 2026 when they screen a crossover episode. Yes, that's right, there's going to be a crossover between Coronation Street and Emmerdale, which is quite, you know, still quite a milestone thing all these years later for them to do such a thing, and no doubt it will get that boost from that peak of interest. And I think it just goes to show a lot of people saying, oh, you know, these soaps, they must be pretty much dead, they're not pulling in the viewership they used to. Both of them are well over half a century old. But again, if they're contributing to that boost for ITVX, they're going to keep them going. That 400 million streams so far, I believe that's all soaps. That's not just Coronation Street and Emmerdale. That could be any of the back catalogue of soaps that ITV have uploaded onto the platform, but still a positive. And I honestly surprised me. It gives me sort of a renewed hope of the type of media that soap is, and that it could potentially go on. It is adapting. In terms of younger viewers, it's reality, undoubtedly, that is delivering that. Not really a surprise there. It delivered over 500 million streams this year so far. Love Island, celebrating 10 years on screen, generated over 200 million streams, with another 100 million for Love Island All-Stars, successfully driving younger viewers to ITVX. Now, I've made it pretty clear I am no fan of Love Island or a lot of these kind of shows. To be completely honest with you, they just aren't for me. I have given them a try, particularly in their heyday, but they just aren't my kind of program. But I have always held my hands up and acknowledged that they are very popular and do attract a wide variety of audiences. ITV2, considering it's not the main channel, really got that boost with the sort of reality explosion generated by programs like Love Island. And the fact that 10 years on since it was sort of revived, that it's generated over 200 million streams and 100 million for the All-Stars edition is absolutely bonkers. So again, I'll hold my hands up. Congratulations to that. It seems that if it's getting the younger viewers in, then like I said with the soaps, ITV are just going to keep ploughing money and investment into it. Others, such as Big Brother and The Only Way is Essex, each saw over 50 million streams, while the new show The Princess Diaries became the most watched reality series on the platform after Love Island, with 39% of the audience under 35. And again, when you have successes like this is only going to keep pushing ITV to invest more in the reality TV space. Why wouldn't they? They're attracting the younger demographic, which is notoriously the hardest demographic, particularly these days, to both capture and retain when it comes to television. But hey, if reality's working out for them, then they're going to keep ploughing into it. When it comes to sport, the Six Nations has had its best ever streaming year. Live sport continues to attract significant streaming audiences for specific events. The Women's Euro semi-final was ITVX's biggest sport audience this year, with over 4 million live streams for that single match. The Six Nations also had its best ever year on ITVX, with 16 million streams for the 10 matches shown by ITV, up by nearly a quarter on last year. So again, another positive increase. No matter what you say about the ITVX service, there are still complaints that it is a little bit clunky, it isn't perfect, there are still bugs to be ironed out, all that sort of thing. But no matter what you think, the evidence is there to suggest that audiences are taking to it more, that adoption is coming in, and more people are becoming familiar with using it. And hopefully, at least in ITV's case, that can only go up and up. Again, there is more, I think, to say regarding this ITV Sky deal and what this means for that, but we'll touch on that a little bit later. Let's continue. It says, according to ITV, its streaming service has been the #1 commercial broadcaster video-on-demand service in the UK every month of the last 2 years, i.e. it's ahead of rivals like Channel 4 streaming and 5 streaming app, just like on linear TV. And, you know, that hardly comes as a surprise considering the ITV brand, the ITV prominence, and the amount of promotion that ITVX has had. Quite frankly, I haven't seen nearly as much promotion, whether that be online, social media, or even on the telly, for Channel 4 or 5's streaming apps. So no wonder that's happened. I do remember a thing saying surely Channel 4 was leading with its streaming service at one point, maybe conflicting arguments about that. But over the last 2 years, so 2 out of 3 years of ITVX, its life, it has been the top commercial broadcaster video on demand service. And so again, something it can point to as a success. ITV also boasts that its ad tier outperforms the ad tiers of every other broadcaster and global streamer, like Netflix, according to figures from Barb. This may of course be down in part to the fact that ITVX's ad tier is free, unlike other services where you have to pay to watch ads. Well, again, yeah, that hardly comes as any major surprise. If your ad tier is free, you don't have to pay up front to use the service, then of course more people are going to flock to it. We as humans, we like freebies, we like free stuff, we don't like having to constantly pay for everything. And, you know, I think other ad tiers like Netflix, you still have to pay, what is it, like £5-6 a month for the ad tier service. That's now the same with a lot of the other streamers. You can't just go on the website and access the content even on that base level for free, whereas ITVX you can. So, yes, it may outperform in that sense for the ad tier platforms, but it hardly is a surprise. The managing director of ITV's Media and Entertainment, Kevin Ligo, said hitting 3 billion streams this early in the year is a terrific achievement and proves that ITVX is really delivering for viewers. The milestone hit 3 weeks ahead of last year when we had the men's Euros and before the start of I'm a Celeb, which is always a huge driver. Highlights the sheer volume and quality of content that we offer for free. From record-breaking drama and reality series that bring in younger audiences to a massive uplift in soaps, ITVX is truly established as the must-watch destination for the biggest and best of British TV. So yes, clearly there's a lot for them to celebrate. Hitting it this early in the year, we are in November. Is that classed as early, or are we talking about like the financial year from April to April? I don't really know. Probably that, to be honest. But yes, I mean, it is something to celebrate. ITVX, when it launched, there was always that sort of shadow of doubt as to whether it was going to really succeed, if it was really going to take off. And whilst I don't think it's had that big boom that maybe some people were expecting, it's clearly doing well enough that nearly 3 years into its life now, there is some renewed confidence amongst ITV. ITVX is part of the broadcasting division of ITV that's up for sale, yes, with Sky's owner Comcast continuing talks. Any deal would separate ITVX from many of the top shows made by ITV Studios that have contributed to its success this year. And yeah, I think this is an important thing to touch on and discuss. ITVX does get a lot of the top shows, a lot of the successful ones that it's had this year and in previous years made by ITV Studios, the production arm. Now, if that gets separated, if Sky own that, they might necessarily decide they don't want some of the ITV Studios produced shows on the platform. Some of them you'd like to think might be no-brainers, like I'm a Celeb and some of the others like that, but you can't necessarily rest on your laurels, I think. There may be some shows made by ITV Studios that would no longer have a home on ITVX, and they'd have to try and find that home with other broadcasters on other platforms. Would that hurt ITVX's bottom line? I really think that depends on what shows may get taken away, and we won't know that unless a deal actually comes through. And what would Sky or Comcast, by extension, even do with ITVX? Sky, of course, is trying to run its own service. I think I said this in a previous video. I think they will see some merit in ITV as a brand, ITVX as well, considering its reach. Again, the ad tier is free. That brings a lot of people in, might encourage people to subscribe. They could start to run mass promotion for Sky's own service on ITVX. You know, oh, you get a lot of things here, but guess what? You get even more if you sign up to a Sky subscription. That could be a possibility. I wouldn't put it out of the park. I don't think they would just shut ITVX down outright, again, considering the amount of money that's been poured into it. But initially, and again, I have to reiterate, this is purely speculation on my part, I can't see it necessarily being the best thing for ITVX in the world. I think its growth might end up being stunted because of it. I think it might hinder, again, some of the programmings made by ITV Studios if they don't all get accepted. Or I could be completely wrong and the ship could just carry on as normal. They won't change the branding. It'll just be a change of ownership and nothing more. But yeah, initially my gut, I don't know. I've got a bad feeling about it for ITVX. It's on that upward trajectory quite slowly, but I don't think this deal may necessarily go through. But the positives of ITVX may make the deal more attractive. Like I said, we are in the early stages of these talks. We don't know if Sky are going in guns blazing, if they necessarily want to accept this with open arms. But if they're partly buying an operation that includes a successful streaming service, one that reaches out to millions upon millions of Brits, then that might sweeten the deal for them to go and buy it. Again, like I said, pure speculation, but let's round off the article. ITVX launched in December of 2022. It's been nearly 3 years, God. In streaming figures was stuck at about 1 billion streams every 4 months, so 3 billion every year. During the first year of operation, figures began to perk up during last year, 2024, helped by the runaway success of Mr. Bates versus the Post Office in the first quarter of that year, and then ITVX reached 3 billion streams by early December. So yes, it has hit that milestone early. The growth is coming. As it says, reaching 3 billion streams by the second week of November is a notable improvement. And if they can keep hitting that 3 billion milestone earlier and earlier, if we keep pushing that boundary, then that's the sign, I would argue, that the platform is indeed growing. It is reaching more people. What will sort of raise their eyebrows is if we regress and it takes longer to hit that 3 billion mark, or even, God forbid, if it doesn't hit that 3 billion mark in a year. That'd be really worrying for them. During 2025, they began to showcase more content on YouTube. For example, viewers can now watch full episodes of ITV News and regional news programs on YouTube. It hasn't caused an obvious drop in ITVX users, particularly as news isn't a major driver to the platform. Yes, I would argue that is true. I think still, no matter what you say, a lot of people still get their news from either dedicated apps for the broadcasters, BBC, Sky, whatever it is, or they actually watch it on traditional television or streaming services. They don't really go to YouTube. They have uploaded full episodes of other programs as well, and why it hasn't necessarily created that obvious drop for ITVX users, I think partly it's familiarity. I think we're sort of ingrained now over decades. If we want to watch a show from a particular broadcaster, our first thought is to either turn on the TV channel or go to their streaming service. I don't think instinctively we think, right, I'm going to go to YouTube to find it. Also, I haven't really seen it promoted either. You know, they say they've invested in it, but I haven't really seen much promotion for advertising, hey, watch our stuff on YouTube, because why would they? Yes, they still might make ad revenue from it, but really they want to keep people watching on their platform, which again, the whole thing about putting it on YouTube, I can sort of see why, but I always found that a little bit baffling, particularly when you're trying to invest and grow ITVX. So on the whole, this is really positive news. You know, the platform of ITVX is growing. It's still trying to work out some kinks, but more people are flocking to it. More people are viewing it. More people are checking out what it has to offer. Again, for the Sky deal, I think this might have a net positive initially. It might be like, look at this very positive, profitable, maybe, streamer that we have that you could have under your belt if you purchase our operations. It could really help ITV sweeten that deal if they want to sell to Sky as quickly and as efficiently as possible. But again, should that deal go through, what might it mean? Again, what would Sky/Comcast, what would they change? Would they keep things exactly the same, or would they try and restructure the brand in some sort of way? And again, because ITV Studios is not included, that's very important to remember. Some of the big programs that have necessarily fueled the growth of ITVX here may no longer necessarily be available on the platform. It's all to play for. And again, these talks are nowhere near finalized. We're still in very early terms of discussions. Who knows when it's actually going to get finalized? Sometimes these things can take months or even years. But rest assured, any new major news that comes from it, or any sort of finalization or walk away from a deal, we will cover here on this channel. But I want to know what you think. What do you think about this news for ITVX? The news that it seems to be growing, albeit steadily, but growing nonetheless. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. If you think this is a good thing, what it might mean for the deal with Sky going forward. Leave a like as well if you enjoyed the video. It always helps us out. And subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. We would love to have you aboard here with us. In the meantime, I've been Adam Martyn from AMTV. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Thank you to our patrons for helping to support the show, and a special thank you to Macra, Sean Knock, Dord Khan, Ethan Carberry-Holt, Liam Domain, AJ Mac 200017, Jen, Traffy, Mr. Eurovision 1986, Evan Hart 42 Radio, Tim Ripley, 40-something Manchild, Mr. J McLeod, James Wallace, Ben, Stephen Oliver, Shadowfiend 180X, Swan Ronson, Adam Gamer, Sir Fonzie Daz, Matthew Elif, Pigeon's House, Seraphic Euphoria, Dave Batten, Kevin Mallon, Shah H, Liam Turner, Real Team Foxy Plays, Jenny T, Lovely Dave and Gem, Tyler McLean 316, NJ on DT84, Jimmy the Bantam, and the Macabre Tavern are AMTV staff members.